just like to welcome you all to the virtual reception for Struggle, an exhibit of our time. We're going to have a conversation about what's going on with our, we are the Lincoln Park Conservancy, of which I am the president, and I'm here with the executive director, Miss Linda Tarrant-Reid, and we have a number of our board members with us as well. I know there's Nora Davis-Day, there's, hey Nora, there's Judith Weber. Is Tom Buchanan with us? Or hi Tom.
Hey Tom.
And I don't know if Amy Ehrlich is on or not.
I'm here. Hi.
Oh, hey, Amy. Hey Amy.
In the middle.
And maybe Paul Zuber. Is Paul around? We hope he's going to join us. If not, so we are the Lincoln Park Conservancy, a 501c3 not-for-profit set up to preserve, protect, promote, and document the rich history of the Lincoln Avenue corridor, both historically and the present day live history. We are in the midst of doing so many programs this year, of which Struggle, an exhibit of our times. It's an exhibit that was mounted just in February 15th, to document and talk about and kind of explore so much of what has gone on over the last year.
Yes.
With the pandemic and with just real life. So with that, I want to turn it over to Linda Tarrant-Reid, who's going to talk a little bit about the exhibit. And I guess Judy as well. They're both co-curators of the exhibit, which is in fact hanging. If you look at Judith's image, the exhibit is hanging at the Rotunda in City Hall. There are about 50 plus images on the wall there. There's also a virtual exhibit, which I'm sure many of you have seen. Linda's going to talk about that, but it's on our YouTube page, and it is a fantastic production that gives you a chance to look up close and personal at each of the pieces of art, as well as a statement from the artist that talks about where they're coming from with this exhibit. So here's Linda.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. That was great. Judith Weber is the driving force behind this exhibit. Judith put it together. We do have a exhibit committee. Cynthia Reed is on the committee. Billy Tucker is on the committee. I don't think she's with us today. And Barbara Bach is on the committee. So they actually selected the artists and the pieces that we ended up, exhibiting at the Rotunda Gallery, and also that are included in the virtual exhibit on YouTube. Our partners, and I just want to say a little bit about our partners. This exhibit was part of a larger program called Quest for Justice, which we kicked off in January 24th. Quest for Justice. It was about the Lincoln School desegregation case, the 60th anniversary. So Struggle is part of that commemoration. We are grateful for our partnerships with the Norshell Council on the Arts and with the Iona Council on the Arts. We also received wonderful support from the Verizon Foundation. Judith, take it away. Yep.
You're on mute, Judy.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Yeah.
So I said I was really excited. We have actually 23 people on the line, which is really wonderful. For me, this is really a pleasure. One of the things I really love doing is, seeing work from artists. This isn't the first show I worked on, both for the council and now with the Conservancy and other organizations I've worked with. I think the thing about this exhibit that was really exciting was the breadth of work that came in, the different media, and the statements that everybody wrote. I mean, I read everything, and everything that everybody wrote really touched me. Not only was the work beautiful, but I thought that how people expressed themselves about the particular kind of struggle they were concerned with. And it made me feel like, we're all in this together one way or another, whatever our issues are. And it was really an important thing to happen at this time. So I want to welcome everybody. There's some of you I didn't meet, some of you I did when Linda and I did a few tours through, the exhibit, and you're now on our master list of artists to notify every time we do something to make sure that you'll know about it. And I look forward to, seeing more work from all of you, and welcome and thank you very much. And I just want to say before I leave is that Jihaad did the virtual. I work with him, and I think it's one of the most beautiful virtual exhibits I've ever worked on. I mean, he's really excellent, great to work with. So maybe, I don't know if he's there because I only see him with his golf club, but if he's there, I'd love for him to say something. Are you there, Jihaad?
Yeah, he's gonna duck into the picture
gonna
here
try
if
and
he
duck
can.
into
All
right.
Our
Well-
studio is kind of tight.
Okay, well, when you get a chance, I just,
There
I'm
he
telling
is.
you,
Hello, everyone. Hello.
there he is. So there's a genius behind the virtual.
It was a pleasure working on this project. You guys are amazing artists. It was great to see all the pieces in person when Judith and I met at the gallery. Staring at everyone's art on my computer screen did not give it justice at all, because you guys are amazing artists, and thank you for your dedication and sacrifice in doing that, and it was awesome. I just hope it was able to reflect some of the power and some of the intentions you guys had when you guys made your art. So if it was at least a small percentage close to what you guys did, I appreciate it. And thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. So I guess we're free for all. How does this go? Welcome, everybody.
Judith, why don't you moderate and call on some of the artists who are here?
Sure. So anybody that would like to share, their experience or talk about their work, or, I mean, it's just really wonderful to see faces here. I see a lot of names. I wanted to see their faces, but, does anybody like to share, any feelings they have about the work, about the, the whole experience of quest for justice, whether it be our Black Lives Matter and now, Asian hate and all. I mean, there's so much going on. I think for me, art is the thing that you can do to, in some ways, ameliorate the pain. That you can talk to the issues, you can express yourself in a way that, I mean, I'm an artist, I've been an artist for years. And for me, that's always been like the button I could push that made it able for me to be able to deal with whatever I was coping with. So would anybody like to share?
I would like to know something, Judy. Judy?
Yes, I hear you.
All right. What I would like to know, I mean, I've seen this exhibit. I think I've said it to you and Linda and to everybody that it's one of the most brilliant exhibits I've seen in a long time, although you have had many. What I'm curious about, and I know the title of this exhibit, I know struggle, I know it's a quest for justice and all, but what I really would like to know is from each individual artist, what prompted their selection of that particular subject, not subject, but how they expressed their work in the art? What motivated them to create their art the way they did?
Judith, why don't you call out the artists one at a
So
time?
raise your hand so I can see you, and then, okay, Sania?
Hi.
Hi.
I started this, hello everyone. My name is Sanya Samad. I am a Pakistani immigrant living in New York for past 16 years. I started this work actually years ago when I came here, and I used to miss home. And trees, I remembered I used to, in Pakistan, I lived in this huge house with lots of trees. So I started embroidering. I'm a textile artist. I have a degree in textile design. So I started embroidering it, and then I stopped after some time, got busy with the children and everything. When this show came up, and I was thinking, what would I want to give for as a submit which piece I should submit. I was reading this poem by Indian poet, and it was about trees and how trees do not discriminate between among humans, and they will provide their shade to anybody or everybody. So I started working on this piece again, and I finished it in time to submit it for the show. I'm very happy that I did it. And the piece is all about, I've embroidered, I don't know, we're not showing the artwork, but it's a small piece with a tree embroidered using traditional stitches, which are actually from from Pakistan. It's about hope. The whole poem was also about hope, that maybe we can have one tree which will provide shade to our neighboring countries or our neighbors, and let's grow these trees. So what is happening in America at this point, especially in COVID, I realized that that is the most important thing is to share here and understand and give up differences, or understand each other through those differences, and enjoy and cherish the presence of each other while the differences still exist, because as far as America is concerned, it's a country of immigrants, and immigrants have brought so much color to this country. And I'm being an immigrant here. All my kids are born here. I have a very strong association with America. And also I have an association with Pakistan, where I was born and raised. So I thoroughly enjoyed working on this piece. With every stitch, there were memories, and I was reading poetry. And for that 1 month, it took 1 month to work on that very small piece, and I finished it on time. I'm happy about that. So that's my part of the story. And then I met Judith at the show, and I'm so glad that I'm part of this show. And
Thank you. Who else would like to share? That's wonderful.
Thank you, Sania.
Sania says
Possible
just share.
for us-
Who else?
Judy, Judy, is it possible for us to see whatever piece of art each artist is talking about?
No, it really isn't. You have to go back to the virtual and take a look. Write down the names.
I did.
And
I
then you
did.
can go back and look. We can't do that.
Okay.
Tom, did you want to say something? Tom?
I just wanted to say hi to Sania. We know each other for other groups.
so it's nice to see you, Tom.
And when I went to the exhibit to see her piece, I think I recalled to you and to Linda that I had been to one of the art exhibits in Yonkers and seen some of her work there. So I instantly made the connection and was happy to see her supporting this exhibit.
Great. Does anybody want to speak about their work? I think Pam, you had your hand up. Pam, did you want to talk?
Is she unmute? Yeah.
Unmute.
Yeah, I mean, I just waved. I didn't have, my piece was really, it was not planned. It's something that I started during the beginning of the pandemic, and it really with no, the way I do a lot of my mixed media work is I look through images and I start collecting images that, you know, at the time, whatever mood I'm in, how I'm feeling, sort of what images I'm attracted to and what like speak to me. And then I just start gluing, and I use different other materials. I'll use Chinese rice paper, and I color it, and I just sort of it's very intuitive. And then I just started, I think with all the turmoil with the pandemic and everything going on and all this, you know, negativity and, you know, just everything was going on. It just created this piece that just, was a struggle. It really, when you sent me that email, it was like, it had images of like spirituality, and then it had pictures of like demons, and it came together, and it was just, like I said, it wasn't planned, but yet when I heard from you, Judith, it was like the perfect piece that you
Great.
fit in the exhibit. It was just really, and it was all intuitive and just about my emotions at the time of what was going on.
I have to say, Pam is an amazing sculptor. I met her at Clay Art Center a long time ago, and her work was originally all clay, and she started to do this on clay there a couple of years ago, and has
You
really
showed
just
me
grown.
how-
What?
that was thanks to you. My whole paper journey has been thanks to you.
Well, I don't know, it's really beautiful work.
Oh, thank you so much. You're too.
So somebody would like to share. Hi, Susan.
Unmute.
Come on, guys. Diane, did you want to say something? Yep, you're muted. You're muted.
She's gonna have to unmute
You
herself.
have to unmute.
Somebody has to tell her how to do it.
Well, she'll figure it out. Would anybody else like to share while we're waiting for her to unmute?
Hi,
Come on, guys, talk about your work.
I'll speak.
Janet, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Janet.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Thank you for all showing up. This is great. You asked about why or how this piece was selected for the show. Is that what the question was?
Yeah.
For me, it was really unusual because this piece was perfect for, I have a picture of it to remind you of which one
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a large piece
Beautiful.
that, thank you, is almost as tall as I am. And it came together over the year of 2020 because of my reaction to what was all going on. And so it's a whole different technique, a whole different style than I've ever done before. And it's realistic more so than my previous pieces. So it's a departure completely from what I normally do, but it was a healing for me to express all the emotion and all the turmoil and all the ups and downs. And every other day there was some new thing happening. And so I was clipping headlines and things out of the papers. I was saving papers and not wanting to forget anything that was happening because there was so much and there was so much and so much. And it was overwhelming, the information that was coming to us from the news and everything. So I collected all those things and then I started piecing them together over time. But it's like it took, in my write-up, it said it took about a year to complete it because I had to live it and then experience it. And it was the most gut-wrenching, hard year I've ever had. And I think all of us can kind of relate to that in some way. But when the piece started to pull together, it was more about the protests that happened in the summer over George Floyd that brought it into some type of cohesiveness, because it was all over the place with COVID and with, everything, being quarantined and every single item in the news just affected me. I used to not watch at all. I never watched the news, but now I watch every day. It's like I have to keep up with what's going on. So it's interesting that now the trial is happening at the same time as this reception, which I thought was really interesting because last year when I wrote the statement, I was feeling very hopeful, even though we've gone through all this upheaval and craziness. What gave me hope and good feelings about what could come from this tragic year and all the death and all the upturning of our world is that now we can talk about things we couldn't talk about before with everybody. You don't have to just keep it to your own cultural group and remain silent sometimes because you don't think the other group is going to hear you or understand. It's like now the conversation's been open and we can't turn back. We can't go back to the closed silences and just holding back. That's what I felt like I'd done for many years. And I had almost lost hope that we'd ever be able to come to this kind of a conversational point. And so now that we have, I'm happy, I'm invigorated, I'm renewed. I'm like, there's a point where we can move forward as a whole United States, as a whole group of humanity. And so this piece is called Humanity Arises and Takes to the Street. And so I felt very encouraged by the fact that all kinds of people people, all ages, were coming out and protesting something that was just so wrong. And everybody was one. And it happened in America and all the different states. And then it happened all over the world.
Yeah.
And it was just, it makes me feel good just thinking about that. So now I'm going through again the emotion of watching what actually did happen, which we didn't see, you know, on the news, in the trial. And I'm going back to those, you know, up and down emotions, but I really feel like change has to happen. It has to. So that's why that piece is just perfect for this show. And I was so grateful to have a place to put it. And it gave me the momentum to finish it because I had a goal to pull it together. So
It's very powerful, very powerful piece.
That is such a wonderful, you know, context for us to view your work. I've taken several groups of people into City Hall, and it's a magnet. People are so, you know, drawn to your piece, and they study it and they read it and they view it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for the feedback, because I came to see it. I saw the show, but it was so empty because it was only like,
I know.
you know, but it was nice to see that it did hold up, because it was a new technique. I put it together with lots of layers of paper, and I wasn't really sure if it would last. And it's
love it.
It definitely
People
has.
love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Jihaad, we'd like to hear from you.
Okay, Linda.
How are you, my dear?
I'm doing very well. I'm happy to be here this Friday. I think my medium is photography. My concentration for this exhibit was the Black Lives Matter protests, and it was. I think it was definitely a struggle, I think, personally, and just to find these photos, because I went to these events, one in New Rochelle.
Yes.
But my brother actually spoke at that event, and one in Harlem, Adam Clayton Powell Center, and one in Columbus Circle, around that area. We actually marched around Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. So on top of that, COVID, but I think the good thing for me, I would say for that experience, taking those photos, was the young faces that I saw. Even though I'm very, very, very young at 39, it feels that way. It was really heartwarming to see younger faces in the crowd, because I grew up around this. I grew up around going to protests, and I was like, all right, here's another one. Here's another young brother dead, and another story over here, another story over there. So we're going out again to fight for justice and peace and understanding. And you know, and I brought my camera, as I always do. And it was good to see those young faces, to see that torch passed on.
Yes.
And to see them standing up for themselves in the future that they have to mold. So that was my connection. I think seeing that bridge between me going to protest sit-ins with Amadou Diallo. I was young in high school when that happened. I went with my grandparents down to New York Plaza, got arrested with them. So, and I was totally prepared to do it again. COVID being a layer on top of it.
Yes.
And not really wanting to be in a massive crowd, unfortunately, I think was the only challenge. But I think expressing the other side of what was going on for Black Lives Matter, because on the TV, you saw the riots, you saw the burning, you saw the people having their upstaging, I would call it, corporations talking about what they're gonna do for Black people. Right. And we're gonna hire 5% more of this, or that or put more women doing this just because it was the right thing to do now. So I think that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to see the brighter side, people coming together. People wanted to discuss the issues at hand, because to me, it was very easy as a photographer to go downtown in Brooklyn somewhere and photograph a burning building or people rioting and breaking things, or cops beating up people and being upset. I think bringing people to the table and showing that, and showing what democracy and protesting and getting your point across meant, and how to do that. I think that's what I wanted to show about that.
Thank you.
I think you
Thank
did
you.
that. And I think we want to put some context around the legacy of Jihaad Muhammad and Nora Davis Day and Dr. Hesna Muhammad and Muta Ali. They are related to the wonderful, talented activists, the late Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. Hesna and Nora are the daughters of Ossie and Ruby, and there are pictures of them going to protest, and Muta and Jihaad are the grandchildren. So you see how
two of seven.
you see
Don't
how
get us
this
in trouble.
goes.
Don't get us in trouble.
I have to raise up these names.
Yeah.
People have to know that the legacy continues. And Jihaad talking about the young people and how there were so many people touched by the deaths of these, living human beings. It's important to acknowledge.
Well, by nature, I'm a little bit pessimistic, but I was very, very surprised how much of a rainbow of people I saw, and how the age of everyone as well was staggered as well. And I felt proud to be in New Rochelle and see that, being from New Rochelle, I felt really proud to see that.
Thank you.
Great.
Judith.
I see Shahaan is here. You shared a wonderful conversation with us at the gallery. Could you speak?
Yes. How's everyone tonight?
We're wonderful. How are you, Shahaan?
I am good. My piece, if you don't know, is the piece with the American flag suffocating the person, the face.
It's behind you, right?
Well, no, that's actually the first painting of the series.
Okay.
It's a series. The one I have at the City Hall is the second painting.
I see.
Of the series. So my work deals with issues of identity and perception and representation, mostly of people of color. Now, when I got the email regarding the exhibit, I was working on this series, the Scream series, and I was actually finishing the second painting, which is hanging in the City Hall. And I thought that was perfect. That piece is perfect. It encapsulates everything that's going on in American society and across the world today. Now, I chose that piece because I wanted something that would hit hard. I mean, the reality is not everyone is afforded the same freedoms and rights in America. We're all Americans. We're entitled to freedom, justice for all, but that's not the reality. So my piece that I have up, it's just a commentary on who actually, we're all entitled, but are we really guaranteed those rights? Can I say as a brown person or a Black person that all the rights, I can walk down the street and be safe and secure in the knowledge that as an American, I'll be protected no matter what? I really can't. I don't think that's the reality. So that piece with the flag suffocating the person, well, the second piece is, the first piece behind me is for mostly about foreigners brown people. The second piece is more for Black Americans. So the series, it touches upon different ethnicities. So it's all about just commenting on that idea of freedom and justice for all, and what that means to someone of color, someone who's brown, someone who's Black, someone who is of a different sexual orientation, whatever, what have you. You know, I want the viewer to look at that piece and just have an inner conversation and just examine what it means to be an American person of color living in our society today with everything going on. And yeah, so I wanted something to hit hard. The piece is very realistic because it has to be. If it was more abstract, I don't think it would have such a powerful impact. It has to represent reality. It has to show what's going on. And in order to do that, I had to make it very realistic. I mean, I want the viewer to look at that and think about someone being suffocated by the flag, which is supposed to protect us.
Right.
But in reality, it doesn't. So, you know, that's the main impetus for that piece. Just have that very raw, that very violent image of what's going on in our society and the reality of it all. That's the reality. I didn't want to sugarcoat it. I didn't want it to make it seem like everything's pleasant, everything's okay, because it's not. And that's what the painting reflects. It reflects a raw emotion, the raw reality of what's going on in American society. And I hope it does. The point of that painting, what I really hope it does is to just have the viewer look at it and just have an internal dialogue to really discuss what's going on and to see how it affects them and how they fit into that whole conversation, the whole dialogue of freedom and equality and representation. And I think, you know, once you're honest with yourself, once you have that inner dialogue, then you can have a greater dialogue with everyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, as a viewer, I mean, I love your work. I think the piece is enormously powerful. But, you know, watching the news and hearing you, you know, and thinking for those of us who are not brown, you know, what does it mean to be an American? And for me, the suffocation of the flag on your face, it feels the same to me, because it feels like the promise we had was a lie.
Yes.
You know, and the more that we learn and the more that we see, it's hard to really, you know, come to terms with the fact that America is built on a lie. And, you know, and we all have an obligation to make the change. We, you know, as the public, that if we call ourselves a democracy, it's our responsibility to make that happen. You know, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody else like to share about their work? Diana?
Yes, my piece is another flag.
I'm unmuted. I was upstairs on my iPad, which I could not unmute. So I'm downstairs now. Here.
Okay, so do you want to share?
I must say I had the privilege of taking a personal tour of the rotunda of this gallery by Linda and by Judy. And wow, I was standing there with all this emotion hitting me. And now to hear Shahaan, I remember your pictures so vividly that I feel the emotion of it. Yeah. And also Jihaad, I mean, I don't remember. And Janet, I'm glad you spoke about your pictures, because now I can identify the artist with the picture. But what an exhibit, what an emotional feeling I got just standing in that room. It was unbelievable. And I just want to thank Linda and Judy for what they're doing. And I hope we need more. We need more. We need to continue the struggle. And
there will be.
We have to. So bravo.
Thank you, Diane.
I want to hear from more artists, because those three artists, Janet, you were absolutely fabulous. And Jihaad, my son, is a quasi photographer, and wow, what you did, what you expect was fantastic. And again, I said, Jihaad, you brought tears. I'm finished.
Thank you. Diana, you wanted to speak?
Yes, my piece is also a flag. It's a flag that is disintegrating. And the reason I did it in 2019. We were not yet in 2020. So, but I come from Argentina and I passed my youth during the military government there. I don't know if you know about it, but there was a 7 years military coup that killed 30,000 people.
Yes.
And the military were trained in the States as an operation founded by Kissinger at the time. And most of the militaries in Latin America that did coups in several countries were trained by the same group. I don't remember what was the name of the operation. But what I found absolutely interesting is that the type of tactics that they were teaching are the same that the trainers of police forces in the state now are using. So the people are seen as enemies. Yes. They're supposed to be servicemen, but they don't serve people. Especially they don't serve Black and brown people. So I feel these parallels are very important because in 2019, it was very clear that all the tactics that the military government in Argentina in the 70s were applying, like false news, and they didn't have the internet, but they have the control of the TV and all the media. So it was exactly the same. You will watch TV and just listen to lies all the time. So I saw that in 2019. This was my inspiration for this integration. And the situation was so different that when I come to this country, when I come to the US, for me was I was a privileged immigrant. I didn't come without papers. I come with a job and I am white, so I didn't have any resistance to anything except competition with other people. That is what happened in the States. But I did very well as an immigrant. And I am, a citizen and I have all the rights. And I feel that it's very different, my experience, than the experience of other people, especially other people from Latin America that are not as white as I am. So what I see, and I still seeing, is that democracy doesn't work for everyone, like Shahaan say.
That's right.
And I totally agree with him.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to share? Thank you so much. Fran? Unmute.
It's an honor to be here. And, I spent a lifetime suffering from whatever it's called, white privilege, but not suffering, enjoying it. And the Black Lives Matter movement, it was just until about a year ago that I really started identifying with it. And I think it started from the play Little Rock of the North, where I started getting more in touch with my own inner racism and feelings of prejudicial feelings toward other people. And, not just Black people, but brown people and Asian people. And I didn't think that was me, not me. I'm not racist. I'm not prejudiced. But a couple of things brought it out. And very quickly, I tried to make changes within myself by someone before saying about an internal dialogue. And then what happened is Damon Mayer kept on sending me emails.
Kelly,
You have to mute, Kelly. You have to mute.
Mute.
He kept on sending me these emails about these Black Lives Matter movements in Richela. And I said, gee, this is really a good thing for me to do. But I found these reasons why I didn't go. I was busy or this or that. Then finally, I went one day. It was a bright, sunny day, and it was called the Dribble March. And Aaron Williams led it. And there were about 50 or 60 of us that marched with basketballs, bouncing the basketballs down North Avenue to the police department. And at first I thought, well, what a crazy thing, a dribble march. How effective is that going to be? And I tell you, I was only doing it for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I couldn't hold my emotions back. The dribbling of the basketballs created such a sound, a repetitive sound, and the walking of people of all races together down North Avenue and being sort of in the middle and seeing their backs and hearing them claim, flowers or don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot. And with that, I couldn't hold my emotions. And then we went and sat, and I was videotaping this as well. Then what happened is right before, I think it was right after that or right before that, I wrote an essay about my own interracism and how I got in better touch with it through an event that happened with my daughter. And, she called me out on it basically about maybe 20 years ago or whatever. And I wrote this essay and I sent it to, I didn't know what to do with it, so I sent it to Mayor Bramson. I sent it to friends of mine. It was sort of like raising my hand that, hey, I want to change my inside. Part of it, I should have been changing it because I also felt I was part of a marginalized community being transgender. So I was making these changes. And then finally, I realized in a professional development class with the Pelham Arts Center that Stacy Miller gave, that most of my paintings and sculptures and stuff in the last several years have been about social change and social justice, but I didn't put a name on it. It was sort of like I was crying out. So I had this idea I've been doing these wood sculptures and stuff. And then I had this idea for a jail made out of wood branches that was situated on a beautiful verdant meadow with a sunlit, everything around it was beautiful, sort of like America as it's seen by many people. It's all beautiful. The star-spangled banners, purple mountains majesty and stuff. But then in the middle of it was this jail that it showed 2 of the vertical bars broken, that the person or animal either escaped or was helped out of it, freed. And I thought of that as how this country is for many, many people. They're in jail because of their race, or they're in jail because of their gender or sexuality. They're in jail because of their poverty. They're in jail for their past. They're in jail for so many reasons. So then the weeks were going by and I didn't make the sculpture. And so I said to myself, let me at least make a painting of it. And that's how that painting came to be. And I'm involved in acting and stuff, and I'm in this Episcopal Actors Guild, and I started getting very vocal about my social change and racial justice and stuff, that I was asked to join a recently formed committee, the DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And I've been a very active member of that. And then we made a public service announcement saying we love Black Lives Matter. And we got about 50 or 60 members of the 200 members or so of Episcopal Actors Guild down in New York City to join in. And we did this whole PSA. And I told a story that brought me, to recognize my inner racism and stuff. And so then I started converting many of my friends. Some of my friends are still the racist Italian Americans that I grew up with, saying, what? And then I found myself. So anyway, I had a big change of heart and also a responsibility to do something about it. And I thought I'm going to do something about it through my art. You know, not saying I won't try do it other way, through my mouth and through my art. And so when struggle came along, it was really in the perfect place in the right time. And it really touched me to be, and very much to be included in it. So I saw those paintings and photos and everything with different eyes this last month than I would have seen it 5 years ago or 10 years ago, much different eyes.
Thank you.
So I want to thank everybody.
And it's always great to have you participate. I know you for a while now, and
really thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak about their work and why they're in the show?
Judith.
Hello.
Who?
Kelly.
Okay, Kelly, you're on.
Hi,
Kelly. Hi. I'm Fran's daughter, by the way. Anyway, a lot of you know me. Anyway, my painting was made. I think Fran made her painting for this specific event. My artwork was made before the event. I'm an okay when it comes to actual drawing things, but I'm not as perfect as I want to be when it comes to like being precise with my painting or my drawing. So I do a lot of mixed media. I do a lot of collages, and I had this idea to use tape. I used to cut images out from magazines or print them and put them together in unique ways. And I had that in other art shows with you guys. But now I was trying out using different tape. So I was using different tape and spray paint. And I made this collage called City Grunge. It looks like dark and dreary and like a grunge, but underneath the lines that you see, it's supposed to be like grates. Actually, I made it not knowing what it was. I made it just attempting to make something, and it came out with, then after I made it, it reminded me of this. It reminded me of grates in the ground, like the smog or the fog coming out in like a city, Manhattan or any city. But you think it's dirty, but it's not necessarily dirty. It's dirty in the way you see it. So it's almost like someone's struggling, like the earth is struggling. But then I spray painted like gold over the spots, so it looks like a little bit of light coming through. So like we all have struggle in our life, but it's how we manage it, how we handle it, how we get through it, that makes us stronger, that brings us to the other side, because we don't want to stay in that struggle. So even though my piece looks maybe a little dreary or dark, or it has like light coming through it, so it shows like people of the city, they may be going through something hard, but they'll get through it. So it's struggle with a little light, but so it's not just a city in damage that can get better. So that's kind of what it was. And it might be hard to initially see it, but they look like great. Some people, after I explain it, they see what I made, but in the beginning, they're like, what is this? They just see the lines. They don't really see, then when I explain it, they see it. So I had made it not knowing what it was going to be, just made some creative design, and then made an idea behind it after. And then it related to the topic of struggle. So then that's how it all came about, my piece. So
that's great. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing.
Kelly.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
And Kelly, are you driving?
I'm not driving. Someone is. I'm not driving. I'm trying to get home.
Okay.
My boyfriend, I'm not driving. I don't drive.
Okay. Is Teresa Kump-Leghorn here from the North Council on the Arts?
I also just want to comment that Susan is here with us, and she's our graphic artist. She's our graphic designer that helps us make everything look beautiful, and the invitations and all the statements.
Susan,
she really did,
us.
We
How are
couldn't
you?
have, that without her. So
I'm great. Hi. I'm saying hi. I'm great. I normally don't have much to say. I was just happy to be here and to hear from the artists and to see their faces and kind of connect. And I have the YouTube video here on my other screen, and I'm matching up artists with their artwork. And so it's really nice to hear what everybody has to say.
Well, thank you, Susan. I want to hear from Monica Dean. Monica Dean is a new board member on the North Council on the Arts. I mean, she's been on for about a year. Monica?
Yeah, so I too, like you, Susan, have it up on my screen, but I will say that I have watched it digitally 5 times.
Really?
And yes. And like Diana, I cry at certain artists'
Oh.
work. And then I go back and I look at a different one. Like I was looking at Christina Thomas's Green's, we all, you know, her heart piece about we all just, you know, have blood red and, you know, we bleed that way. And I go back and Shaheen, I read your statement and then I go back and I look at the work and I have to say it in an online, you know, I'm sort of a techie person more, and I did not make it to the rotunda because still a little nervous, but soon
Yes.
I'll go out into the real world. And I just think this work is incredible. The stories that are told, and I feel so honored to meet all of you artists.
Wow.
And what brings you, what motivated you, what your story was, Diana. And Sanya, your tree really spoke to me because I'm Lebanese and trees are very important to that kind of like cultural thing. And so it's, and the works are just, I mean, I could go through each and every one because I have notes and things that made me cry. And I went back and I looked at it and and I'm just, you know, it was really, it is so well done. And it speaks to so many parts of our hearts in the United States. And I know we're New Rochelle, and New Rochelle is really cool. And Fran, when you spoke about, you know, going through starting your walk and Jihaad, the descriptions of what went on in the marches and stuff, my daughters, you know, were there and they were in Harlem, and, you know, people are really responding, and the sense of getting our inner story about our, you know, we all have stuff that we have to work through and let it go. And this work, all the different pieces that, you know, there's one where it's a digital, I don't know who the person who did the digital man, it's like, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many pieces that I keep going back and looking at them.
Yes.
Because it's cohesive in one way, because we're talking about struggle, but so beautifully unique.
Yes.
All the different ways of expressing yourself and how you, what mediums you use and how, you know, how we are as in this time of struggle. I mean, that was my experience. Linda, do you want me to talk about the New Rochelle Council of the Art? Or, I mean, I just thought it was, I mean, I have gone through it, like I've gone and I'm now taking my kids, come watch this with me. This is amazing. I'm sharing it. Come and look at this, because now we're in this time of COVID and we're breaking out of it. I still have time to look at things.
Yes.
The one beauty I think of having the online stuff is that, and your art is there, we can go back and look at it and take it in a new way. And to your point, Fran, that, you know, I would have looked at it one way 5 years ago, then I would look at it differently now. Like it, you know, what an amazing amount of beautiful people on this call, and so smart and human and intelligent. It just like, I'm going to cry now because I won't. But it's just really, I feel, thank you, Linda, for inviting me.
Well, you're welcome. Now, I just want to check, is Noam on the call?
Who?
Noam Bramson. Is Chuck Strom? I just want to make sure I get, you know, if they are. Judith.
Yes.
Who are our other artists that we haven't talked to yet?
Who's here? Inez has not spoken yet.
Inez Andrasik.
And Christina.
Christina Hardigree. Thomas.
And who else has not spoken yet? Pam.
Okay, so.
But let's hear from Inez and Christina. If you'd like to share with us a little, would be really great.
Yes. Okay, Inez up first.
Okay.
Yeah, my paintings that are in the exhibition actually were the tail end of the last political administration and the beginning of COVID. And there was a lot of pain in those two pieces about thinking and concepts, getting confused about our concepts and thoughts and what is reality, and breathing, how important breathing is. And yeah, they were painful. So luckily now I've been finding some beauty, because even though there's a lot of pain and a lot of really awful things in the world, sometimes you got to just find that the stuff. I'm not saying beauty as an escape from it, but I'm talking about finding beauty as a way to go into the pain. And I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does.
It does.
But I really thank you for this opportunity, and the artwork on this show is great. I like Monica was saying, I watched the show about 20 times and cried. Sometimes I'm paying attention, it'll be on while I'm making art or whatever. And the work is great. The music was fantastic. Susan, you did it, right? What a great job.
No, actually, Tarrant-Reid did this exhibit.
Yeah.
Susan did our black and white exhibit, which was stunning.
Oh yeah.
Go back and look at it on the council's Facebook page on NERCA. The black and white exhibit was a virtual, it was an invitational. I actually curated
it's on
that.
the Facebook. Okay.
It's on Facebook, yeah. On
Okay.
National Council of the Arts. It was for me, that was a wonderful opportunity to actually curate and then narrate, which was a different way of doing it, but it's also beautiful. And
then Susan,
I think all the virtual shows that we've done, I think we've done 4. Each one very different and distinctive, and each one I think delivers the right message.
And then Susan Naguib did the See Me exhibit.
And she did black and white with me. She did black and white, and Nick Carter worked on black and white.
Yeah, but Susan also did the See Me exhibit on LGBTQ.
We have amazing talent.
Amazing.
You know, this show just struck so many things. It's just moving, and I'm just feel honored to be with everybody that's here right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. And Christina Thomas, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hi, Christina.
It's been such an honor to participate. This is, wow, you know, I was so moved by just the Lincoln decision, because my cousins and myself, we all went to schools in New Rochelle, you know, high school. I went to Ursuline and my cousins went to New Rochelle High School. So, and it was around, I mean, obviously it was during COVID, and one of my cousins who did go to New Rochelle High School, she passed away from COVID very suddenly. So, thank you. So, working on this project for me gave me something to really focus on during that grief. And the pieces I chose, the Briny Deep was created while I was in a domestic violence shelter. And it was one of the first paintings that I painted that was that scale, and became a part of this art collector, Renee DeBoe's collection. And she's been helping me guide me as an African-American female, which has been amazing. Caliente was really, you know, it's really a commentary on just like what's been going on. It's so fiery hot. And recognizing our brown people and the use of language. And for me, art is about communication. And I want people to I want them to feel caliente and feel the heat of what we're in. So that was really important to me, to be able to communicate in a different language. And I created those out of adversity. I have multiple sclerosis. So I would sculpt tissue into letters and then use ink. That was my everyday therapy. So I started creating these words when I was diagnosed with MS. So I've always managed to direct my adversity into my creativity, and that's been really a healing therapy. But We All Bleed Red was extraordinarily important to me. I had a kidney transplant in Philadelphia, and while I was there, you know, you meet all kinds of people. You know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning is time. You know, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a creed. And when you're waiting for a loved one, or you are a loved one, it makes very strange bedfellows, and it tends not, there's no black, white, or anything in it. And I had a doctor a long time ago that said, you know, when you open someone up, you all bleed red. And I know, because of my years in nursing and stuff, we really do all look the same inside, our blood, our tissue, and all of that. And so I met a woman, and Joshua's heart was created because he was waiting for a heart. Unfortunately, he did not make it. And he was young, probably in his 20s. And so just thinking about that concept of we all bleed red, you know, and seeing what's going on, having a Black nephew and watching him go out in Mount Vernon to get his hair cut, you know, they don't just see the degrees on his back.
No.
You know, they see a kid with a hoodie. And I put prayers in his back whenever he walks out the door. And that's real. And I really had to start, you know, having those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations with my white counterparts, people I went to high school with, people in my career, to be like, this is what the experience is for me today, you know, and to look at art right now. And I am honored to be showing with Ozzie Davis's grandchildren. I'm like in awe, because I was in Philadelphia, and with a friend of mine who's also an artist, just saying like they were true love in their marriage, and we were just talking about them, and like how just amazed at their artistry. I'm sorry, I'm so starstruck, but I can't help it. Because it's like, who's singing about strange fruit? That's what I would always say. Who's singing about strange fruit as artists? Who's really having that kind of communication about these hard things? I mean, and like, we are the ones to tell the story. We are the ones to tell the history right now. It's not our grandparents kept it verbally. At least I know mine did, you know, but as artists, we're timeless. People can look at our work and they have no idea even what we are, we're our color, and it can speak to us, and it is my legacy. And that's what happened when I started to do this work, and I started to know that it was from New Rochelle, where my people were from, that this is my legacy, you know, as a Black woman, to leave something for our children to see, for our young women to see, and say, this is what she was thinking during this time of the pandemic, during the time of get off my neck, you know, this is where she was at, because the briny deep for me feels like this kind of suffocating you know, this kind of drowning that's happening right now. And also for me, like a re-education, you know, because even though I went to this excellent school, there was no Black history.
No.
You know, first time I saw Malcolm X was, I think, you know, that was like when I learned about Malcolm X. So even though you have this wonderful education, it is picked and prodded what you learn. So I really, this time for me is I've had to reach back, and whether it's watching Queen and Slim or watching a movie, and you really start to see, and you start to hear about James Baldwin, you start to want to be them. You know, you want your legacy to start looking like an Ozzie Davis and a Ruby Dee. You want your legacy to start looking like a James Baldwin. So that's what this show did to me. And I had just did the show before with the other young lady, but this show moved me in a very different direction. It becomes about legacy. It becomes about what you leave, because I don't have children, and it's about what I leave behind that I've said for myself and for our community. So thank you very much for letting me share and be a part of this amazing, amazing experience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Anybody else that would like to say something? I mean, it's really amazing. Shahaan, do you wanted to say something? Your hand is up.
Oh, that was before. Let me put it back down. I had it up all this time.
I thought you were raising your hand. I'm more.
But yeah, I have something. If anyone has any questions, I think, about the arts that they want to ask any artist, I think that might be a good, you know.
That is a good idea.
I have a question.
Who's
I have
that?
a question. Did the artists write the dialogue that accompanied their art?
Yes. Every artist submitted their statements. Some of it I edited a little bit for space consideration, so that it would fit. but everybody wrote their own stories.
Because those stories were artistic in themselves.
They're beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful.
Everyone really touched me. It made me feel bad in a way because I couldn't participate in the show because, because I was sort of on the other side of it, but I wanted so much to be part of this show. And being in the Rotunda, the 2 days that we were installing was like heaven. It was the first time out in a year, and to be standing in the space, putting this work up, standing with Linda and Stu,
Yes.
it was like life was starting all over again.
And what's so great about the Rotunda and being in City Hall, the reason why we decided to do it in person is because it had been a year. The Rotunda gallery walls were bare. And the people, the people who work at City Hall, when they saw us installing Struggle, they were overjoyed.
Yeah.
They felt, and I felt that this was an important thing for us to do as a movement forward. Yeah. We need to get out of this, deep, dark place that we've been in. And for me, even though Struggle has a lot of, important, hard, painful things that come to mind, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And this was our light, being able to put this exhibit up.
Yeah.
So Judith,
I got my first hug in a year.
Right. Judith, have we missed anybody?
Fran, did you want to say something?
I just want to add one quick thing. You may have already thought about doing it, but so that this all lives, the art, I know that lives in the Struggle YouTube thing, but this conversation, I see that you're recording this conversation. I've been having a lot of luck with promoting myself through small, independent film festivals. And I noticed that the documentaries I put in, I get thousands of views of that I would ordinarily not have gotten. And they could draw attention. And I would like to suggest that it wouldn't take much, among us, we could do it, to make a 25-minute short documentary with narration and clips, excerpts from this recording and the virtual show, and maybe a few snapshots of what was on the walls. And I really think that we as artists could then, I know we could send out the virtual show we have and spread it that way. But when you get recognition for winning a film festival, it has another cachet to it.
Yes, I'm sure.
And so anyway, that's a suggestion, and I would volunteer my time to help out with anything like that.
Wow.
Thank
you. If
you.
anyone wanted to do that.
Thank you so much. You're so creative. So Judith, is there anybody else? Did we get everybody?
Well, I got a lot of artists, but we haven't heard from we haven't heard from some people that are quite. Amy, is Amy still on? I think Amy left. I don't know. Anybody else want to say anything? Oh, here you are.
I am here.
So share.
I was curious about the decision of how to put it all together, because as Monica said, the power of the online show was so incredible. So how did you think about it? And I would just be interested in, because that was a creative art work as well.
So Sia and I we worked together. I organized where they would be placed. I've done a lot of shows, and to me, the impact of a show, even hanging in the Rotunda, is a relationship of one piece to another makes a difference. So I set it up as to how I felt the stories would unfold and how pieces looked next to each other. So you would feel that you were like walking down something that didn't disrupt your involvement. So once I got the arrangement, Jihaad, then created the template and the manner in which it flowed from one thing to another. And then we integrated the statements that Susan had, I had put them together and edited them slightly for content, not for content, but for size. And then Susan set them up in a way that Jihaad could then put it in. And then Jihaad, I said, there's a certain kind of music I want. I know how I feel when I walk in a gallery. And he, first time out, he goes, what about this? And it was like right on target. And so it was really the two of us that put it together. And I just want virtually, as I did in the gallery when we go around. When I do it with Linda, we work together all the time. And there's always how you place, sounds and visual things are experienced like different. Like even people, you experience them differently in different places and how they relate to each other. So it's the thing that I enjoy doing the most, besides doing my own work.
And I think the thing that we need to talk about to put the whole show into context is that the thing that had struck me about the isolation of the pandemic and the different people that I had been talking to, because, I have a lot of friends, a lot of different ages all over the country, and people would call, to check in, and you would hear their stories. And for me, to come up with the concept of struggle. And we did struggle with this concept. Susan and I went through the graphic process because Susan and I work extremely well together. And Susan, you can chime in. You know how hard it was to put that poster together, because at first we thought we were going to be very specific, talk about the healthcare workers, talk about, have a symbol of COVID, but everybody was doing that. And we really wanted to go deeper. So when, I came up with the idea to call it struggle and make it open-ended, because it's really important for us when we do a call that we define it in a way that it's not limiting. And so that was the struggle. I mean, Susan, you can chime in about how difficult it was to come up with the poster. And then at first, when we sent out the call, we were not getting a huge response. And then all of a sudden, toward the end, all of these wonderful, wonderful artists started coming and, sending in their work. And that's how we ended up with some incredible work. A lot of people that have not shown in our NERCA shows have shown up in this show. And Judith has I'm going to call it a Rolodex, but it's not a Rolodex now.
I do. Hundreds.
She has a catalog of all of these wonderful artists. So a lot of them are in this show, and we're very excited. And we're very excited about the virtual aspect. And so all of our shows will be virtual.
Yeah. And I was really confident because being an artist, one waits to the deadline. I mean, to get something in early, that's, then you spend the rest of the time obsessing about what you sent. So I have never sent anything more than 2 hours before a deadline. Ever in my life. And I've done a lot of shows.
So Judith,
I want to say, Judith and Linda, I want to say that the show is really very, very good. It's one of the
best this
year.
Oh, Diana.
So yes, so I am very grateful to be in the show and grateful to you. You did a wonderful show. Doing the Rotonda looks fantastic.
Thank you. And we have to thank the city of Norshell, because I think it's like year, 7, that they have allowed the Norshell Council on the Arts to do these exhibits. I am the chairman of the committee, and we have an incredible committee. And every show we do, we always say, this is the best show we've ever done. And each show tops the previous show. But technically, they're all very special and they're all different. So I do want to give a shout out to Mayor Noam Bramson, the City Council of New Rochelle, and to Chuck Strom, who is the city manager, who has been extremely supportive. We have turned that Rotunda Gallery into a gallery. You know, he authorized the beautiful hanging system, the leather ottomans, the new display cases.
Camera.
And the city paid for all of that for us.
Yeah.
So we are so supported, and we are thankful that we have so many wonderful artists that participate in our show. And we want to thank all of you for your beautiful work.
And I want to just add that please follow the Conservancy, the Lincoln Park Conservancy. We have a space that the city has provided for us. And in that space, we will be having our own gallery as well, plus a lot of educational opportunities and experiences. So if you follow us, you'll know when we open. And we look forward to having you come and visit and participate in as many things as we are doing. And when you get a chance, go look at the community garden, right?
Right, Grow Lincoln Park
Community Garden.
Right, Grow Lincoln Park Community Garden.
Yeah.
And what Judith is saying is the Lincoln Park Conservancy has a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel.
Right.
Grow Lincoln Park Community Garden, which is another program of the Lincoln Park Conservancy, has a Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. So please follow us. And then the New Rochelle Council on the Arts, they have a Facebook, Twitter, and a website.
Right.
I don't think they have Instagram, right, Monica?
It's just YouTube at this point. I think we might have tried Instagram, but I don't know if it's being populated.
Okay, but
regularly.
we have Twitter. We have
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, is there anything else? Because this has been a wonderful, wonderful event.
Toast to you all.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet all of you.
So the show's extended to May?
Yes.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Take care.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good
night.
night.
Nice meeting you again.
Thank
Nice
you for
listening.
coming.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for hosting.
Okay.
Good night, Judy. Good night,
night.
Linda.
We
Good
have
night.
lunch.
Okay,
Good
thank
night,
you.
John Boy. Good night.
Good night.